Hello, everyone. My name is Hassan Zerze. Today, I'll be doing Ask Me Anything session. This is the first time, so I'm sorry for any inconvenience in advance. I think I was planning to start 9:30, but it's 9:36 right now. I had some trouble getting in because I didn't know how to start this scheduled live stream. So I'm sorry for that. Um, okay. It looks nobody is here. That's fine. I have some questions with me, so I'll go over them if no one attends. So let me talk a little bit about myself first. I am Hassan Zarze. I'm a faculty member at University of Houston Chemical Engineering Department. And I want to say thank you to all my viewers. And as I said, this is the first time I'm doing this live streaming. I think I have one person here. Hello, Sarah. Thank you for joining. So what I was saying was I actually had some questions with me. So regardless, I had an audience or not, I was gonna have some questions and answer them. I'm gonna talk about where these questions are coming later, maybe. I just want to keep it a little. I don't want to tell it right now. Yeah, and so if you have any questions, I can get them, or if you like anytime, if you want me to go to box, I can pick any question from the box and then answer that. So let me see, can I do a poll here? If I, yeah, start a poll. Would you like me to go to box to pick questions? So that's a yes or no poll. Also, this is the first time I'm trying since I have only one guest. So probably I'm gonna get one response. Um, it tells me yes, 0%. What does that mean? 100% yes. Okay, let me go to the box. Okay. It says letters to Santa, but just ignore that. I just repurpose one of my daughter's boxes. So she's using this as a mailbox that she's planning to send to Santa. Okay, the question is, what motivates you more, curiosity or usefulness? Okay. Yeah, it's a tough question. First of all, both actually, motivates me, but the question is asking which one more motivates you. And I think it depends on the time and mood of in my life. And generally, but most of the time, it is, I think, curiosity that motivates me and keeps me active. Curiosity and the possibility that I'm going to learn new things. That's what's keeping me up. Okay. Okay. Do you have any questions, or do you want me to go to box again? So I have a lot of questions here. Let me show you. Like, so, you know, if I go to box many times, it's still gonna have a lot of questions, I guess. Okay, let me pick another one then. So I'm shuffling in, and let's see. What makes a good exam question in your opinion? Oh, that's a great question. first of all, I want to be as fair as possible. And in some cases, it's not very easy to grade objectively some questions. And I believe the most objective type of questions in terms of grading are multi-choice problems, because there is no way the grader will put some bias on it. So that's one thing. But the multiple choice problems has their own disadvantages, um, because it's sometimes very difficult um, to understand whether the student student understands the material. So I believe um, you know um, the problems should be such that it tests the understanding of the student rather than memorization. And they should be easy to grade, obviously. So they should be fair, easy to grade, and they should test the student's understanding rather than memorization. Um, so generally, when I prepare problems, in the old times, I used to reuse the same problems, but then I realized that's not a good way to do, because um, students might memorize things and then just come to your exam and just knowing the previous exam problems, and they just you know answer it just because they memorized it. Instead, I started for a long time. I mean, a long time ago, I started preparing um, authentic problems, um, different problems for each exam, in a way that tests understanding. And when I say understanding, it's like, say I'm teaching Unitops, where students are trying to find the number of trays in a distillation column. I mean, all the things I teach in the class, they can just memorize like the procedure without understanding. That's possible. But making things a little bit different helps me identify whether the student is understanding. For example, I put a leak in the distillation column, and I say, okay, perform the material balance from scratch. Let's see how you can do it. Let's see whether you can perform material balance. That shows understanding. Um, Rather than memorizing what you get after you perform the material balance. Um, why am I so obsessed about students understanding rather than memorization? Well, basically, I don't know, but I believe it, the the information that you memorize is very volatile. It's only when you make connections with other things, which is part of understanding, that information stays with you for a very long time. Um, that's my major concern. Um, yeah. Okay. Any questions by any chance before I go to the box again? No. Okay. So I think I like this. I'm gonna go to box. So let me show you. This is Letters to Santa. This is my daughter's design, and she built this in Home Depot, and you see the Home Depot sticker. The colors and painting is her design, but the stickers, I think we got them in Home Depot. Okay. Anyway, so let me pick another one. How do you recommend your students to study? Okay, that's a great question. I think I should talk about this seriously. Um, so first of all, again, about the understanding the topic versus memorization, but how are they going to do that? Like, right? Like, how are they going to know they're trying to understand, that they're understanding the topic rather than memorizing? Um, I mean, I understand for some students, they want to first memorize things before even trying to understand things. But at the end of the day, it should actually give you some understanding. So here's my, you know, my strategy would be, when I think I was a student, I used to study in advance before getting into the classes, uh, because it was, for me, it was personal totally. I had really difficult time understanding during the class. It's because it's a very short time, and there's a lot of information you need to grasp and so on. So it's generally in advance, not after the courses. So I used to go into textbooks and try to understand before getting into the class. I know it sounds a little weird, um, but I'm not saying that every student should do it that way. Um, Another strategy, I can tell is, um, you can, um, try to change the things when you read, like when you read from the lecture notes, right? When you read from the lecture notes, everything is done already, and you read it like you're reading a book, and everything looks really nice, tidy, and so on. And you trick your brain, sorry, your brain tricks you, and you think you understand everything. But um, one way to understand whether you understand or not is to, um, do something with that information. If, for example, you just read it and then you think you're done, you're okay, you're gonna do, do good with that information. Um, you need to check whether you can apply that information. For example, solving practice problems. Obviously, right? You solve practice problems. It's, um, again, uh, you can hide from yourself the fact that you didn't understand why, even while you're like solving practice problems. How can that happen? Um, you have a look at the question and you say, oh, okay, let me have a look at the solution and understand what, like, and see whether I understand it. And you have a look at the solution immediately, and you trick yourself. You think that you're understanding the topic just because you're able to follow the solution. That's not enough. And um, what you need to do is, you need to have some time with that practice problem without looking at anything, without looking at internet, without looking at ChatGPT, without looking at the solution manual and so on. You need to have a one-on-one session with the problem and question itself. You you should feel that challenge, right? Because it's what happens in the exam, right? You're alone with the question. You have nothing else. You have no helpers. You have no ChatGPT. You have no nothing, right? And regardless whether you're going to take a test or not, I think this is essential for checking whether you understood something. Getting um, getting alone with a problem without any external help, I think, is essential in learning. So what I suggest my students to do is, uh, whenever they have a practice problem, they need to get isolated only with the problem, without any um, external support. And let me tell you a couple of more things about this. Like uh, getting alone and isolated with the problem, uh, without seeing the solution. Um, Psychologically, you will, you know, push your brain really hard, and you will convince, this is an actually mental battle with yourself. You're going to challenge yourself and say that, look, you must do it, whatever it takes. And what are the things that prevent me from solving this problem? Even you just ask this question, it's very beneficial. You say, what is, like, you have a question, like you studied distillation columns and unit operations and so on, and all of a sudden you have a look at the problem. It starts with, you're an engineer working in a chemical facility. They're trying to build a distillation column to separate ethanol from water, and so on and so forth. And then all of a sudden you ask yourself, oh my goodness, how am I going to start? What should I do? So all those questions come to your mind, and all those questions would not come to your mind if you just go ahead and look at the solution. You would not ask how you're going to start if you have a look at the solution manual already. It's already neat and clear. Everything is there. You're not challenging your brain. So that's my, I think, very strong advice, that you need to get along with the problem. At least, like, it doesn't matter at the end of the day whether you're able to solve that problem or not, but it brings you some, mental preparation, and it also gets your you know makes your approach correct, I think, proper, to my opinion. Okay, I talked so much about one question. Okay, so I answered already three questions, sorry. Another question we have: hello, Dr. Zerze, what motivated you to start posting YouTube, and what led you to post your lectures on YouTube? Oh, that's a great question, but it's a tough one that require me to be honest, and okay. What motivates you to start posting YouTube? Okay, so I started posting YouTube the first time right after I finished my postdoc studies. When I'm done my postdoc studies at Lehigh University, I did not have a job afterwards. I used to take care of my daughter. She was not even, I think, yeah, she was 1 year old or so. I mean, she would, like, when I completed my postdoc studies, my daughter Alice was, I think, 8 months, and then we moved to New Jersey, and I needed to, work in the house, and I applied to many positions. I didn't get any job, and so on, for a long time. And during this time, I realized one thing that I, like to do. One was actually teaching. So later, while we were in New Jersey, I started teaching voluntarily at a correctional facility in New Jersey, women's correctional facility. I taught algebra classes. So it's at that time I remembered that uh, I I enjoyed teaching. I mean, I enjoyed teaching, and I was aware of it while I was in undergrad as well. Even in high school, I liked to teach my peers. Okay, so, and then I had some time apart from the houseworks and so on. So I said, let me share, what I know with others, and that actually motivated me to teach people. That's one aspect, and another aspect is, actually, I wanted to be useful, and I wanted to do something, and I wanted to do something useful in a way that I enjoy it. So teaching is part of it, and with teaching, YouTube comes conveniently just because it's a channel that you can reach out to like large audiences. What led you to post your lectures on YouTube? Oh, that's actually uh, there are two reasons. One is, uh, first of all, there is work that I put there, and I wanted to make sure people get most out of it. So I posted, and I didn't want to hide it from anyone else. Um, and also, it's more convenient for students to find those lecture notes. Um, like for my own students, when I say that, okay, I will share the link in Canvas, but then they graduate and they go to industry, but they still want to go and check those lecture notes. One of my students who graduated asked me literally like some questions related to undergrad chemie courses, and then it's occurred to me, it clicked to my mind that, oh, why am I not just broadcasting this so that even students after they graduate can actually um, get those lectures on YouTube. What motivates you to learn new topics? Okay, so that's an excellent question. What motivate? Oh, yeah. Okay, why do I want to learn new topics? I think here's the thing. It's about, I think it's about philosophy. Um, when we start to question things, like, for example, okay, what am I trying to do? Why am I living, right? Like, why am I on this planet? Like, what is my purpose, and so on and so forth. Or what is one thing that keeps me up? If you think about those things, I mean, if I think about those things, I realize that um, it would be a boring life to stay in the same situation forever, right? Like, you're a person, individual, and you have some knowledge and so on, but you preserve that knowledge, and you're that, and you just stay there like that, right? But then what is the point in moving forward in life? And then one answer that comes to my mind, okay, because I'm going to learn new things, that's going to be like, every day is going to be a new day, every day going to be a surprising, so it gives me uh, motivation to hold on to life, and uh, that's one thing. But I think that's a very deep question. What motivates me to learn new topics? Probably I don't know the most reason under the um, or maybe above everything. Like, what is the reason above everything? But I think make meaning from life. Like, that's one thing that gives me, learning new topics uh, gives meaning to my life, I think. Hello, Gabriel. Welcome, and thank you for joining the live session. So, do you want me to go to the box and pick a problem, pick a question? No problem. So, okay. When there's no question in the chat, I'm gonna go to the box. Okay, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to the box. Okay. Why do you not tell your students what type of questions you ask in the exam in advance? Oh, okay. That's an angry question. Um, okay. Why do I not tell you what I'm going to ask about? Oh, it's very easy. I don't want you to memorize things. Um, that's the reason, because like in a very short amount of time you can survive memorizing without understanding. If I tell you that, for example, I'm going to ask you about in transport class, for example, I'm going to ask you about heating of a wire, and there's heat generation, and you need to calculate the temperature profile in that wire. I'm going to ask you that in the exam. Then what's going to happen, guess what? Since you do not think about all the different possibilities that can happen in that problem, I mean, you'll just memorize it. You'll just have, blanks, and you will know the steps moving from one step to another and so on. So you will memorize it, and you will survive memorizing it. And I don't want that to happen. I want you to um, come up with some strategy that will help you understand the topic. That's one thing. And the other thing is, um, this is a strategy for, I think, for most of the instructors. Um, Here's the problem of the instruction. One of the two of the problems. One is, um, you want to make sure students study everything, but you cannot ask about everything, right? So if you have 50 different topics and you want your students to study all those 50 topics, but if you're not able to ask about all those 50 different topics, then one smart solution, I think, is just to hide what you're going to ask about. So you put statistics into action. You say you can get any problem in the exam, and then students must study everything. They will not survive just studying one or two topics. And it's going to be an easier to grade exam. And also students will not have time, like students, otherwise students would not have time to finish the entire exam, right? If I ask about everything, I cannot ask about everything. So this solves that problem. So that's why I don't like to disclose what type of problems I will ask about. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to the box. Whenever I don't see a question there popping in the chat, I will pick up from. Oh, I picked two. I'm gonna put one of them back. Do you read RMP comments? RMP. What is RMP? I don't know. Let me skip that question. Okay, let me pick another one. Okay. What's a concept in physics or material science that students find hard, but you think is actually beautiful? Hard, but beautiful. Oh, RMP is Rate My Professor. Oh, I read RMP comments. Yes, exactly. I take them really seriously. But again, but here's the thing. Yeah, it's very risky. It's very risky for me to read RMP comments, because it affects me psychologically, and generally I try to avoid reading it before the semester ends. Yeah, because generally I get harsh comments there for some reason. Yeah, let me go back to the other question. What's a concept in physics that students find hard, but you think is actually beautiful? Let me talk about the the concepts that are hard first. I think it's Second law of thermodynamics. It's second law of thermodynamics, but it's beautiful, but hard at the same time. It's not only it's not hard only for students. Hard for also the professors. You know, like for anyone, it's hard right now. Um, Second law of thermodynamics. The reason is because although we know what it means and like although we know that what it implies and how we can make use of it, we don't know it philosophically, I believe, like philosophically what it actually means. But it gives us a really good, you know, tool to calculate things. That's one thing. Another thing is dimensional analysis, but I don't think students find the dimensional analysis hard. They may have hard time memorizing the non-dimensional numbers, like Reynolds, Nusselt number, Prandtl number, and so on. But they can, I think, do, and it's actually beautiful, the non-dimensionalization as a procedure to come up with new guesses for a solution. And yeah, I think those are the two that comes to my mind. Okay, I got another question. First, true, avoid reading some feedback from students I know who will leave bad reviews, because then I'm hard on myself. Yeah. What's some advice you would give someone if they wanted to become a professor or educator? That's a great question. Yep. So first of all, you know, education, I think it's for all the jobs. You need to see whether you actually like it, you love it, and know that like every profession, there's going to be challenges. There's going to be like a lot of challenges, like each and every profession, and knowing them in advance, knowing the kind of challenges in advance might help. And this is true for any profession, I believe. So maybe you can make a list of, you know, what you think will be the challenges when you are going to be an educator. Make a list, and then you can talk to a person who is educating, whose job is education, in educational profession or in academia. You can list some challenges that you think, and then you can ask whether those are the challenges. Like, you can make this exercise. But the question is, there are those challenges, but are you going to be okay with, are you going to tolerate those challenges? That's the question. So you need to think about them, I guess. And in terms of preparation, like an advice that I would give as part of a person's preparation to be a professor or an educator, well, I think being a professor would require different skills than being an educator, to be honest. I think like for most of the jobs, you need some of the skills like time management and so on. But if you're going to be a research faculty, you need to have really advanced time management skills, which I lack. That's one of the reasons I'm not doing research quite often. I'm not publishing a lot of papers. That's one of the reasons. I have really bad time management skills. That's one thing. Um, you can survive as an educator if you have bad time management skills. I mean, you should still have time management skills, but you should not have really advanced time management skills. See, um, what else? You need to enjoy interacting with people. Like, if you need to also start from somewhere, because these things don't happen like immediately, right? For example, um, I cannot imagine a person who doesn't like to help their friends while they're working on a subject, right? While they're studying an exam. A student who is always, like away from his or her peers, but then all of a sudden, at one day, he or she decides to be an educator. So you need to start very smoothly. You need to see yourself, whether you like, helping others, teaching things, studying together, and so on, and trying to understand the challenges of learning new things, right? uh, I think that's one of the things I had when I was a student, not only in college, like even in high school, even before, when I was in middle school. I always, like remember myself helping other kids learn new things. So I actually have seen their struggle, have seen what kind of things they're struggling to understand. So you need to start somewhere, okay? And one of the ways you can start, as I did, was, like volunteer teaching. You can see yourself how you do it. So my advice would be, um, take up small steps. Don't just imagine that one day, like, you will be an educator, like that there's no magic stick that will make you an educator. So that there's this process, and you need to uh, put it in your life little by little, and then try to make a bigger impact. But you need to first, observe yourself, how you are among your peers, like whether you're enjoying helping them, um, whether you're understanding the challenges that they're having, whether you're like, you could understand really easily, or maybe like certain topic. Let's say you're really good at math, right? But you're really bad at English literature and so on. You're really good at math, and you cannot understand why a specific student cannot solve a particular problem. You need to ask yourself, like, what is going in their mind, and what is the thing that's preventing them to understand. um, so you need to make those mental exercises. I think that's uh, part of the things that will prepare you for educational um, um, jobs. Yeah, thank you. That was a great question. Okay, I'm gonna go to the box again. Okay. Will you be teaching transport over the summer? So that's the question I always get. I don't know why, like, people, or maybe students, are really obsessed about getting the transport over the summer. Maybe it's because it's online and it's convenient. They don't come to the campus. I understand that. Um, but they always ask me that question. I think they don't ask some other professor. I cannot imagine you asking Dr. Cirino whether he'll be teaching transport over the summer. So yeah, I mean, this summer, I mean, that's my intention to to teach transport over the summer, but it depends on um, the needs, so the number of students that will enroll. So if you don't have enough number of students enrolled, we're not going to be able to um, offer it. But I am on board. I will. I mean, I would love to. I'm planning to. That's my intention. Okay, another question from the chat. Um, Over the last 2 years at UH, my experience with you and other professors has led me to seriously consider teaching also. Okay. Uh, I'm trying to understand this question. Over the last 2 years at UH, my experience with you and other professors has led me to seriously consider teaching also. Um, Let me understand this question. Do you mean you're doing a really bad job and somebody else could do this? Is it what you mean? Or you mean like, oh, you're doing an excellent job and I also want to be a part of it? Because when I read this question, I can understand it the other way around too. um okay. JFM 319800 NE, can you please elaborate more on your question? and I, and I hope that you don't mean you're doing a really bad job. Somebody else should take over this from you. It was not a question. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it was not a question. You're right. I appreciate the level of passion I have encountered. You have mentioned, you have motivated me to be a part of it. Oh, thank you very much. So it's my second interpretation. Thank you for the clarification. Transport is a hard class, and I would rather have a professor. I like to teach a difficult class. Okay. Crazy dude. Um, Again, I didn't understand. I'm sorry. That's my. I think um, that's my problem. While you maybe elaborate on this, let me read what Gabe wrote. Lol. They don't want practices lab part 2 for transport. When is your second edition of your math book coming out? Oh, okay. So that's a great question. Oh, yeah. So I need to put a lot of new things in that. So it's gonna be a really long project. But I'm also writing a molecular simulations book meanwhile, and it's under contract with Springer Nature, and it will be out. I mean, I'm gonna give the manuscript on June 2025, and then they're gonna, within probably less than 6 months, they should start to publish it. But before that, I may not um, work seriously on the second edition of that math book, but I'll see. I would say probably in a year or so. I meant like I want my favorite teacher to teach the hard class. Okay, thank you. Okay, no more questions. I'm going to the box again. Oh, there's a question. What's the most valuable advice you have received in your personal life and or academic career? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, that's probably, I think that may not be the one, but that's the one that comes to my mind, and it may probably the one that was um, mostly useful and valuable. One of my postdoc advisors used to always tell me, like, you're not asking the right question, you're not asking the right question, you're not asking the right question. Probably if I just clip and put them next to each other, I would get a like 1 kilometer long piece of paper that's written on it repeatedly, you're not asking the right question. And he was always, like talking about the importance of asking the question and so on and so forth. And I used to think that I was asking the right question as a scientist. But he didn't give me this advice, you know, like the way I'm telling you. I just interpreted this way, and I took it as an advice. Um, for me, there were really serious questions, deep down questions in science, and I regarded everything else as just useless questions. Okay. But it occurred to me later that any question that you ask during your practical life helps you understand things. Um, you don't need to ask, like questions like what happened before the Big Bang, or what caused Big Bang, like big questions that you're trying to answer. Um, in order to progress in science and also like in other fields, I think, um, you need to constantly ask questions, even though it looks like a very small, it looks like maybe not useful question. And it's only when you have this habit of asking questions at the next step that um, you actually learn a lot of things, you make impact. So that's the advice I picked up. That's not an advice that somebody told me, but that's the advice I actually picked up. So getting the habit of asking questions is like a gem in your life, regardless whether it's a deep down scientific question. Doesn't matter. Even if you ask, oh, why is this water bottle here, right? Getting this habit constantly is gonna make you really aware of yourself and the environment around you. Um, Sometimes, you just get stuck at something, and then you need to ask, okay, what how should I proceed, right? Even asking that how should I proceed is just a magical word. um, so I didn't used to know the importance of asking questions, regardless whether it's a deep down scientifically looking fundamental question or like a very silly looking question. Okay, that I think that's the advice that I picked. Is Gil going to help with the molecular simulations book? Well, I think she doesn't have time to contribute to that book. Um, but I think, like if she had time, I think she would, like she would contribute and we would have written it together. And it would be a really important contribution from her, um, especially in the field of proteins and the simulation of peptides and proteins. Um, it would be a very important contribution, but I think she is very busy doing above and beyond in her research. So I cannot imagine her having involved in some other thing like writing a book. Um, Not at this stage of um, her career. She's trying to get tenure. Yeah. Okay. What are your thoughts over AI in education? Do you think it's more helpful or hurtful to the students using AI? Well, I think AI, like, remember one of the advice I gave you um, was getting alone, like getting isolated with the problem itself and feeling the challenge and feeling the pain of that, not being able to solve that problem. It's essential. I think it's essential in understanding and learning uh, new things. what we do with AI, we can right now in the current, its current version, we can access a lot of information really fast, which is a plus. A lot of pieces of information really fast, but we should stop, typing problems in it before we even try to think about it. Before we attempt to solve a problem, we should not get used to typing everything's in AI. So you need to have a control mode of yourself that should prevent you from um, asking something to AI before you think about it. I think that's what I believe is important. And uh, if done very carefully, if used very carefully, I think AI is a very important tool. One of the advantages that I use, like I can find the papers really quickly that's written in a certain topic. But again, since AI can make mistakes, I need to have a backup check, right? I need to check the things. I need to see whether that's correct or not. Um, that's one thing. I can prepare problems using AI, but at this current uh, its current state, I think it's not that useful for some of the courses. For example, in unit ops, I do not benefit a lot from using ChatGPT to craft new problems as an educator, but I, used a lot to, come up with math review problems, right? Because like when I just assign math review problems to my students, I want to make sure the concept is there. I want to make sure it's testing the particular thing, very very specific point, and I can do it. AI can do it really easily at this moment. But for some of the courses, um, I can't imagine even AI is solving my unit ops problems correctly. That I have tried it in a couple of my courses, checked whether the AI response is correct. Uh, I mean, it's giving to some extent correct responses, but the math it's doing is just garbage, um, and that can make really easy algebra mistakes. Although I don't you know grade harshly on algebra mistakes. Um, as a student in AI, like as a student who is using AI, again, as I said, you should use it wisely. You should use it wisely. And I think we had a lot of discussion with other faculty as well, not in our department, but other faculty in other departments. Um, we were talking about whether it's giving students benefit or harm, and one of the things we made we thought it's very similar to what we had when we were students. When there's a technology boost, before that technology advance, and after the technology advance, there is difference in approach of the generations. Like for example, teachers, like when I was a student, my high school teachers used to talk about logarithmic tables, that they used to do multiplication, and they were telling me that, oh, how like great that they were. Now that you have calculators, you don't know how logarithm works. um, but I knew how logarithm works when I was a student. um, it is possible that I can learn logarithms without knowing about the logarithm tables. I can still use my calculator usefully for large numbers. Um, but sometimes I've seen in some of my courses, some students, pulling up their calculators as if there's no other way of doing that calculation. So you need to have this mental, mindset of knowing that there are other things as well you can do these calculations. Long division by hand, right? um, I'm not sure whether most of the students know how to do long division. um, is it important that students need to do the long divisions themselves? No, but they need to know that's there's also, I think they need to know there's also that other possibility. um, yeah, but once you know it, that's fine. You can just go ahead and use the other tools. That's going to save you some time. Okay, so I am not totally optimistic and not totally pessimistic. um, I think as a person, regardless of the technology, regardless of what kind of advances we have in our age, we need to have a mindset of uh, you know what can I do? Like, what are the things I can do? What are the challenges and so on? And when I need to use a certain tool and when I should not use a certain tool, right? Those are very important questions, and they're actually deep. We cannot think about them very very often. Um, why did you choose to write a math book and not something chemical engineering specific or physics? Oh, okay. That's a great question. So here's the thing. Um, I like to, like solve math problems regardless. Like even at this age, I solve, high school math problems, sometimes Olympiad math problems, and so on. I, love to solve them, and you know, while I solve them, I also think about different ways of asking the same question, and then um, they automatically appear, and then I say, why not just publish those because I have them. um, that's one reason. The other reason is, chemical engineering specific, we have really good chemical engineering textbooks, especially like in thermodynamics, the book Dr. Ismail Tosun has written, phase equilibrium thermodynamics. We have really good heat and mass transport textbooks. um, I think I don't see any gap there. Like, I don't see anything that must be done in chemical engineering textbooks. Oh, physics.